Welcome to the Applied Ecology module. So in this module we're looking at understanding a little bit about how biological systems work and how that understanding can help guide the design of agricultural systems. I kind of go into a little bit in detail in some of these points, and you can refer to the ebook if I kind of lose you a little bit and you're wondering quite what I'm saying is about. You can refer back to the description of that in the ebook or replay the video. This is my particular area of expertise. I'm an ecologist, so I might kind of go off on a few tangents that lose you a little bit, but I guess my emphasis with this module is really, I feel, to understand how we should design agricultural systems the best way. We should really understanding how the function of those ecological systems work. So I think it's an important foundation for being good permaculture designers. So in this module, I'm going to go through a few things here. I'm going to go through a quick review of some of the keywords. There's going to be some more in the ebook, so I won't go through them all, but just kind of touch on some of the concepts that we will review in this module. Then there's some different clips on different things, so I'll go into how biological systems are organized, how within those biological systems energy flows through those systems and matter is recycled, how we can kind of understand the organization of Earth and all of its complexities by putting it into different spheres, and in the study of ecology, looking at the interaction between those spheres. And to help understand how biological systems work, to put them into food chains and food pyramids as a way of kind of mapping out that complexity of all the different feeding relationships in those systems. So just to start with, I'll touch on some of the key words here. So an ecosystem is a distinctive environment. So it could be a lake, a river, a pond. But when we generally use the term ecosystem, it's quite a defined environment that we're looking at, and we're looking at within that environment what are the different interactions of the biological systems, what is the habitat like. So the habitat is the abiotic factors, so the temperature, the humidity, the rainfall, the elevation, the distance from the ocean, the type of soil that's there. All these factors will determine they'll determine the adaptations the biological systems have had to survive well in that particular habitat, and they'll also influence the interactions within that biological systems. Obviously, a lake and the biological systems that occur in a lake is very different to those that occur in a forest. So they very much form, they provide the context to frame up those biological systems. So biotic factors are the living things that are within that particular ecosystem, so all the plants, animals, insects, etc., etc. The niche, if you kind of hone into a particular animal within that ecosystem, the niche is the role it occupies within that ecosystem. So if you look at a predatory fish like a trout, for example, it's a top predator within a stream or a lake ecosystem, and its role is to eat the smaller organisms within it, a bit of population control, stabilizing the numbers of those organisms within its environment. So its niche is kind of understanding the what it eats, what eats it, and how it influences the other biological systems within its habitat. So understanding the niches of some organisms is particularly important. If it's a keystone species, for example, it has a huge impact on all the other biological, all the rest of the biological species within our ecosystem. So we're a huge keystone species. We have a massive impact on all the other biological systems that share our habitats. But in nature, there's things like beavers that make dams that create a habitat that affects everything else in our ecosystem. Ants can often be important keystone species in some drier ecosystems. But normally every ecosystem has one individual in particular that stands out and has a big role in shaping all the other biological interactions. It could be a top predator, it could be a very important producer within our ecosystem, but we refer to it as being a keystone species. And then you've got various ways of organising the biological diversity. So community is a group of one species. So a community is all the different animals within a particular environment. Got that wrong, didn't I? So a group of all animals. And a population is the group of a particular species within that ecosystem. So community is looking at the different groups of different species, and the population is a single group of a single species. So it's just a way of framing up the biological complexity within that ecosystem. So stay tuned, we'll crack through it with these videos that I'm going to put on the website, and if you get a bit lost, refer that back to that ebook. It will kind of provide a bit of a grounding foundation to overviewing these concepts. Flick any emails through to me and I'll do my best to answer them within the next Facebook Live tutorial session we have too. Alright, enjoy.